The challenge.
Progress.
Okay. Thanks for bearing with us. I had some opening words, but I think I left them in the car, so we're not going to worry about that. Sure.
Okay, everybody.
Thanks, Mona. I was going to ask Frank to come and introduce Tia. Thanks for being here. Lovely to have you. Thanks for joining us online, Darcy. We'll get one more person joining us online at some point.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frank Bars. I'm a member of the congregation, and I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Tia Aery this afternoon. I've met Tia a couple of times before, but most recently at a walkathon that they had, that the Family Promise had a few months back, and we had a very nice conversation, and it was a really nice event. So I was happy to connect and to ask her to be one of the speakers. So just have a few words. For many years, Faith and Works Congregation provided meals once a month to unhoused families at the historic First Church on the corner of Scotland Road and Main Street through the Interfaith Hospitality Network, now Family Promise of Essex County. It was one of our primary community service projects. Under the direction of congregation member Paul Axelloot, families would prepare dishes and share a meal with host families. For many of us, it was a brief but revealing experience of the challenges of caring for one's family without a roof overhead and an unknown future. Our participation started at a time when homelessness was not quite as visible as it is today. The only real difference between now and then is that the number of needy families has increased tremendously. Over the past 20 years, Tia Aery has served on the Board of Trustees of Family Promise and then as Executive Director from 2001 to 2013. She worked for Family Promise National and Family Promise of Orlando, Florida. Tia rejoined Family Promise of Essex County in April of 2021. Today, Family Promise comprises more than 200 affiliates across 43 states and are the leading national nonprofit addressing the issue of family homelessness. Please welcome Tia Aery.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's supposed to be over here. Okay. It's so great to be back here. This is like old home for us, for Anthony and me. It's just great to be here. So, do I have a clicker? I'm going to go through this. So, as Frank said, I've been involved with Family Promise for over 20 years. And I started when I was a young mom of 4 daughters. And I volunteered in my church. But it was a time in my life when there were some things happening. The world was just crazy. My father-in-law, who was larger than life and a huge personality, had Alzheimer's, and he was diminishing day by day. It was very sad to watch. And then I had a friend whose child died of crib death. Just a lot of stuff happened, and I remember, complaining, sort of railing at God, like, why does this happen? Why is this happening in the world? This is just crazy. And it was right about that time that I got a call from my church and they said there were going to be families experiencing homelessness staying at the church, and would I volunteer? And I kind of took that as a sign from God, right? God saying, you make these problems in the world. This is not my doing. You fix it. You are the hands, you are the feet, you are the ambassadors of Christ in the world. You need to be about this work. And so when I started volunteering, I met mothers who were raising children while experiencing the trauma of homelessness. And it really just changed my life. I was so amazed by these women, and I could not imagine being in their shoes. So that's why I'm here. That's why I've been doing this work for so long. We're going to go through these slides pretty fast. So our mission is to help homeless and at-risk families achieve self-sufficiency. We provide shelter, social services, and housing assistance. And this is the important part. We try to use a community-based approach to do that. Just some statistics about where we are. 11 million US households pay more than 50% of their income on housing. So when they did the point in time count in January of 2023, there were more than 10,000 homeless individuals in the state of New Jersey. That's the highest it's been in a decade. And the highest concentration is here in Essex County. And the other statistics that I think is telling is that there's some 1,200 students in the public schools in Essex County that are experiencing homelessness. So when the COVID-19 eviction moratorium lifted, there was a huge backlog of eviction cases. At one point, it was up to like 14 or 15,000 in Essex County. So high, in fact, that they sent some of those cases to other counties in New Jersey, to Monmouth, to Ocean County to be tried. And we are just now beginning to see really the effect of all those eviction cases, because the court is making their way through those. I'm not going to go through all of this. Who becomes homeless, right? The homeless families are usually headed by a single woman who on average is in her late 20s with approximately 2 children, usually under age 6. We do see 2-parent families, and Family Promises is one of the agencies in Essex County that will serve dads with kids or 2-parent families. This is a sort of a telling statistic too. Among mothers with children experiencing homelessness, more than 80% have had an experience of domestic violence. And the impact, of course, one of the reasons why Family Promise has always dealt with families with children is we hope to sort of break up the generational poverty, and the impact of homelessness on children is significant. You can see this, like if you get or suffer from anxiety or depression, drop out of school at a 42% rate. Well, Doug already shared, Frank already shared some of the history. The network got started in Union County in 1986, and I was just saying we had a fundraiser the other night, and Karen Olson was there, so it was really great to see her and to applaud the work that she did in getting this network started. The national organization changed its name in 2003, and we followed suit in 2020.
It's the same.
It was called the Interfaith Hospitality Network. In Essex County, it was the Interfaith Hospitality Network for the Homeless of Essex County.
What was it always part of?
No, the larger organization was called the Interfaith Hospitality Network. Yeah, when it began. they changed their name to Family Promise in 2003, really because what happened is most of the churches and synagogues that were involved in this program quickly learned that homelessness is a very complicated issue. And the kind of work that we were doing in the churches was like triage. And so a lot of the affiliates began to develop other programs to try and address the issues that were causing homelessness and to help people. So they would do childcare programs or transitional housing. They would start to tackle transportation. So it became more than the Interfaith Hospitality Network. And so that's why Family Promise changed their name, because they felt it would encompass more of what was going on at the affiliates. And one of the things I wanted to mention, I don't know if you all know, but we started in the building next door. I understand University of Orange has, right? We had our offices in that space in the house next door. Yeah. When I first got involved.
That's an historical fact.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I read in your bio that you said it started at First Church. And when you said that, I thought you meant First Church on the corner of Scotland and.
No.
But it was here.
No, it was actually here.
Wow.
In your building. Yeah, offices. And then we were in the Metcalf building for a while. And then we were in South Orange, and then I moved the organization over to Montclair in 2007. So I really wanted to talk about where we are today, having grown a lot in the last 35 years. We were celebrating our 35th anniversary at our event on Thursday night. So these are the programs that Family Promise has now. And our biggest program is actually prevention. People think of us as an emergency shelter, but that's actually a very small program. We can help families stay in their housing, and that's critically important because in New Jersey, we have such an amazing housing shortage, particularly here in Essex County. In New Jersey, for every 31 available rental units, there are 100 families trying to get in. So housing shortage is something like for extremely low income, we have a housing shortage of over 200,000 units in the state of New Jersey. So the last thing we want is more homeless families. So if there's any way we can help you stay in your current home, we will do that. And sometimes that means paying back rent, which has been a huge program since COVID because people lost wages, fell behind. Sometimes it's paying utility bills, anything we can. And then if a family comes to us and says they're homeless, they want shelter, case managers will immediately talk to that family about, well, where did you spend the night last night? And if they say, well, I was with my sister, but she's sick of us, she wants us out of the apartment. Well, how come? Like, what's wrong? Well, there's not enough groceries, so we have this conversation. And if there's any way that we can mediate with family members or with landlords or send a family back to their parents in North Carolina, we will do that because of the impact of shelter and homelessness on children. Like, we want to divert people from the homeless response system as much as possible. And diversion is usually a very small amount of money, really, if we can help them that way. But if there are no other alternatives, we do provide shelter these days. Since COVID, we closed down the rotational program that we've been doing for years. And that was, reasons were twofold. One, we didn't have the bandwidth anymore to provide 52 weeks of shelter. And that has to do with things that you're already aware of, sort of diminishing membership in congregations, an aging volunteer pool. All those things meant that we had a lot of gaps in our hosting program. And then the other thing that we've come to realize is how traumatizing the whole experience of homelessness is. And our vocational program, as great as it was, and often very family friendly, the fact of the matter is they still had to get up in the morning, get on a van, they had to travel every day, they had to meet new volunteers, they had to move on Sunday. So was not particularly trauma-informed. So we have started providing shelter right now. We're using extended stay motel rooms that have kitchenettes, and we're trying to partner with as many churches or synagogues as we can that have property. So, for instance, we're using the parsonage at South Orange Vailsburg United Methodist Church. That's a 6-bedroom home, and they're allowing us to use that as shelter. So we continue to look for those kinds of partnerships as much as possible. Housing, you know what? Let's go on. We can go through the next few slides, and I'll show you. I realized I had slides of all of these. So last year, our biggest program, we prevented 107 families from becoming homeless last year. So just told you all of this. And the Interfaith Hospitality Network congregations still provide groceries and meals or like ShopRite gift cards to support the families that are in shelter. I don't know if any of you remember this house. This was in Orange. This was a long time ago. It's when I was here before. But Family Promise does everything they can to get families into housing as quickly as possible. And we can do that using rapid rehousing assistance, which is sort of declining rental assistance over the course of 9 months to a year. And then our case managers will continue to work with that family so that they can assume the rent once we go away. We also had a dear, my mentor and really good friend, Barbara Aronoff, used to say, Family Promise is promiscuous about housing. So we'll do whatever we can to get people into housing. So we have partnered with some affordable housing developers. We partnered with the Albert Group and the Public Housing Authority in Orange, and we have several set-aside units at the Walter G. Alexander Complex in Orange. We have another partnership with Home Corps, Montclair, and some units there. Stabilization. So we do all these fun things that we have traditionally done. You know, camp scholarships. We do like Fun Friday activities in the summer. Sure.
What's the dash grant?
I was trying to skip by that. That is that's a brand new grant, actually. And it has allowed us to double our staff. I literally just added 6 people to staff 2 weeks ago. And DASH stands for Document Assistance and Supports for Housing. It's basically to support the people who are on the waiting list for the Housing Choice Voucher Program through the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs.
Which is the whole section.
Yes, yes. And so our staff will be reaching out to the people that are on the waiting list, helping them get their documents together, get their applications in, and then once their Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher is approved, we have staff that will help them find a unit. So that's what that dash grant is. It is a little complicated. Okay, so this is can we do the video?
There were 2 video links.
So this, I just want you to hear from some of the families we've served. I think it's always good to have the testimony.
It's this one here, right? It's FP 2023.
That's going through YouTube, or you can do this and then enter the FP passcode on YouTube.
1 second.
That's it.
I'm going to reshare my screen. Let's do this. Share sound. Oop, let's do that again. Okay, does that look good, Karen?
I was a good tenant. I had a good job. I've been working at my job.
It's not great. Sounded fine before.
What was it?
over 20 years at the time. I wasn't an alcoholic, I wasn't on drugs.
You know what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put this YouTube link in the chat for folks who are at home. So if you're on Zoom, Darcy, we're having some audio issues if we try and share the screen. So I'm gonna send you the YouTube link to watch on your own computer while we watch it here in the hall so that we don't have this audio issue.
Sounds good. Okay.
I think, although actually, hang on, no, we're just gonna not use this speaker. I found a solution, never mind, Darcy, we can all watch it together. My apologies. Let's see, I think this will work. Share sound, share screen.
Occasionally get walk-ins. Most people come to us through referral. People that are interested in talking to us or getting assistance, we put our initial application on our website. And that is usually the best way, because then then we, without having someone following over to our office in Montclair, we can begin to tell whether they're going to qualify for programs, because some of the government funding that we have is very specific. There is, so they have to be Essex County residents, they have, all these things. So we encourage people to fill in that application. And one of the things we found out, we just put this application online at the end of May 2022, and we have received more than 4,000 requests for assistance in that time. So the need is huge.
Just checking if Darcy can hear. Anyway, should we watch the video now?
Yeah.
I was a good tenant. I had a good job. I've been working at my job over 20 years at the time. I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't on drugs. I was just a working mom, and this happened to me. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't even see it coming.
Most of the families that I deal with are actually hardworking people that had jobs and unfortunately lost their jobs and weren't able to afford the rent moving forward, so they got evicted.
We were both working and doing our thing, and then boom, COVID hit. So now we're not working. So now it's real. That homelessness and not being able to do anything is right there in front of us.
There are so many people that were impacted by COVID with lost wages, or they got behind in rent during COVID. And actually, Essex County has one of the highest backlogs of eviction cases post-COVID than any other county in the state of New Jersey. And they're just beginning to get through that backlog. So we are actually seeing the results of that now. A lot of people are now facing eviction.
First of all, I got COVID. I got sick. So I kind of used up all my time for the first 2 weeks. And then when it was time for me to come back to work, I got tested, and then I was tested positive for COVID. So I had to stay out another 14 days, and I didn't have savings. The landlord, I'm so sorry, but he died from COVID. One of his family members took over the house, and they wanted to sell the house. It became like, you have to move out.
When Katisha first came to us, she didn't have enough savings to get into a new apartment, because these days our clients are asked to give very large security deposits in order to get into an apartment.
The market rent, it was out of control. I'm I cannot afford this. They want your credit score to be a 650 or more. They want you to make 3 times the amount of the rent. It was just unbelievable. I'm how am I gonna do that?
When you're on the street, when you're living on the streets, and you're living from hour to hour, basically. And that's what we were doing. And you can't blame nobody else. you know, you make decisions in your life, and then you turn around and look and like, oh, maybe I should have done something else. And you find yourself in these places.
I remember praying over them at night, you know, that we were gonna get out that situation, but something just kept telling us to keep pushing, you know. And I kept telling him, had to bring his spirits up, like, listen, I don't know what it is, but something telling us this, we're gonna be all right.
You know, we get this,
Oh, don't cry, baby.
We live in a world now where
It's okay.
a lot of jobs are just part-time. It's very hard to cobble together a full-time salary and get the kind of wages that would support housing and a family.
You guys, when I first talked to you, I knew this is where I needed to be. I felt it spiritually and I felt it through the phone. Then speaking to Kelly, and just confirmed everything. She was just like, yes.
and the three of us, we came to the office in Montclair with a plastic bag. That was it.
Yes.
When a family gets evicted, their stuff just gets thrown out on the curb. They lose everything, often, in an eviction process.
We filled out some paperwork. Within an hour, we had something to eat.
Yep. We
We had a shirt to put on.
We had soap. We
I
had
had toiletries, and we
Everything.
had a place to stay.
And I think we were there at the hotel for three months, and then I was
It
able
was
to.
that was a great start. The whole situation there was so smooth that the way you guys did that was just amazing.
So when a family first comes to us, they may need some, emergency things because they arrive here with nothing. And so we will provide them with clothing, with food, and all of those things. But the goal is always for them to become self-sufficient. So the first thing they do is meet with a case manager here at Family Promise.
Me and Kathleen clicked like that, you know? I hope and you felt it. Family Promise, Kathleen, my caseworker, she felt it, immediately. And she did everything she told me she would do. That is the most powerful thing in my life right now. And Kathleen is just the motivation for me. So, you guys are really our family.
Katisha started with Family Promise in our rapid rehousing program. Like, we helped her with a security deposit. We got her stabilized into housing.
They paid my first month's rent and then my security. Paid the bulk of it every month for 6 months, and I had to pay a smaller amount just until I was able to save up enough to have enough money in my account to pay my rent forward.
In doing that, we came across Circles USA, which is an anti-poverty program, and it is a program that matches families who are trying to gain more economic mobility with allies, with volunteers from the community.
It's about rebuilding, restructuring, and empowering, and giving them solutions so they can focus on the different kind of how to improve their income, how to not be in this situation again.
What it really did for me is, and Family Promise did for me, it really put my mind in a different mind space to say, you have to learn how to budget. You have to learn how to make plans for things that may happen so that you don't fall back into these situations.
You have to do your part. Once you get help, you have to help your damn self too.
Me helping them is not telling them what they gotta do. It's giving them different directions or solutions for them to figure it out. A lot of my clients already have it. It's just giving them the empowerment and the encouragement and the support that they need.
They give you the opportunity to make your own decisions, but they put the resources right there in front of you. So it's all about what you want.
We've been here for a year. I'm working at a swim school, which I absolutely love, and it's amazing. And I'm now enrolled through Family Promise, the Google Data Analytics program for school. So in a month, maybe a month, I should be in a stable career. I'm very thankful for that.
Family Promise is about helping families who are facing the crisis of homelessness, either preventing people from becoming homeless in the first place or helping them with shelter and food if they become homeless, and then helping them get back into housing as soon as possible.
Family Promise offers the opportunity to feel like part of a family, part of a community. And no, there's no judgment here.
I would like to say thank you for your generosity, your help, your resources. I would like to say that you're God sent.
We were lucky to find Family Promise. I mean, life-saving, life-saving.
You know, you really did. You changed my life for the better. And I can't thank you enough. And, you know, I love you guys.
The impact that you want to have at a big fundraiser. And she was very emotional. She shared that she finished that Google Analytics program, and that is a difficult program, that certificate program. And she has a job now at a law firm. She's actually making more than most of my case managers at this point. Yeah, so there's some more slides. I don't know if you can go back to slides.
Yep, just get in there.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Circles program. We ended up partnering with Circles USA. Another program that's very similar to it is Open Table. Have you heard of that program? Very similar. It's about building intentional relationships, helping people escape poverty, building intentional relationships across income lines so that it creates support networks for low-income families that are usually enjoyed by middle and high-income families through their jobs, their schools, their neighborhoods. And so it matches a Circles leader, or the person that wants to build a better life, with 2 to 3 allies who kind of walk alongside them on this journey, offering advice, sharing contacts, and suggesting a way forward. It's kind of about building friendships and expanding their social capital. Circles has that side, the dual mission, which I love, because one of the things about the Interfaith Hospitality Network program is that we're helping families. That obviously, that's the first thing. Help families get out of poverty. Help families get back into housing. But the interaction with the community, with the volunteers that were a part of it, sort of informs the people that are involved in the ministry, right? And so they become more likely to advocate for change. And I said the other night that I believe housing is a human right, and that we need to face our history, certainly in the state of New Jersey. I know we've talked about it when we first shared the whole redlining thing. That was a decade or more ago that we talked about that. But we need to address the systemic barriers that have, disproportionately affected housing for Black citizens in the state of New Jersey. And so I like the fact that the Circles program is involving people who learn more about struggles and the vicious cycle that poverty is. And we just talked about that. This is the way Circles works. There are, the allies or the volunteers that we talk about, and then there are different teams of volunteers that kind of support the whole Circles network. So for instance, we have a jobs and education team with people that have a background in the resources or other. Big View is sort of the team that would listen to what the Circle leaders are bringing up, what's surfacing in the group, and then try to pick something that they could advocate for change. So, the Circles The Circles group meets weekly on Thursday night. Right now, we couldn't afford to get space, so the only congregation I could find would provide us adequate space, because we had to have a big room where we could have, tables and then breakout rooms for different groups. So we're at Union Congregational, actually, those weekends. Graciously donated that space to us. Circles is essentially a 24-month program. Everybody goes through 12 weeks of training, and then there are matching exercises, and then they spend 18 months working together to try and help the circle leaders achieve their goals. The leaders set their own goals about what they want to accomplish. On average, circle leaders, if they complete 18 months of the program, see on average an increase in income, 73%. That's a national average. Okay, that's sort of, if there's an interest in getting more involved, those are kinds of the things you can do. Like groceries, we still have congregations that are taking like host weeks, and they provide the meals for that host week. Right? So that's still a possibility. And it usually means delivering groceries to the holiday center, Claire, and then the case managers get it out to the families. And then there's the whole service. If you're interested in any of these things, you can contact me. All right, questions? We covered a lot. Yeah. You're overwhelmed. All right.
Well, I two things. One is a comment. Maybe I'm sure you saw your article in the Times this week.
Yes, I did. I know, that is, I don't know if any of you have read Matthew Desmond's books. He did, his latest one was Poverty by America, and Matthew Desmond is head of the eviction lab at Princeton University, and they've just done it. I forget who it was in conjunction with, but they combined census data and they found that children like under age 5 are most impacted by eviction. I can't remember the percentages. It's huge, yeah.
I love the fact that you don't just hand down some money and then, send them on their way.
Right.
Well, which a lot of, programs do. They just pay the back rent or whatever, and then they're right back.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
one of the things we run the risk of, and certainly for any of you that have been involved in social services for years, we run the risk, because we get this government funding, right? We can help people rent, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. It ends up being a poverty management system, right? And so that's what I like about Circles, is we're trying to create lasting change, as opposed to just doing a handout. Right, and the reason I personally thought it was so important to have that kind of stabilization program is when I was in Florida, the executive director in Florida, we had a huge rapid rehousing program. We were helping 150 families a year. It was like a $6 million matching program out of Orange County, Florida. So do the math, 150 families, a year of rental assistance. It is a huge chunk of change. And the federal benchmark for HUD's rapid rehousing programs is that you would have no more than 15% returns to homelessness 12 months after exit from the rapid rehousing program. Right? Once we go away, you would expect people to maintain their housing for at least 12 months, right? and only, so 15% don't make it. Well, we were doing pretty well. We were like 11% recidivism. But we've done the program long enough that I could start to look at it 24 months out. And that number went up to 34% recidivism. So it was like, wow, we got to do something.
My question is, you started by saying that really felt fault. That was so inclusive. And I wonder how was your faith involved with this?
How has impacted my
Yeah, how are you
faith?
and God getting along?
You know, it works hand in hand. I love the work that I do, and I do need to rely on God and pray often. And I'm lucky that I have a pastor. So I can, try to continue in Bible study, but that does inform work. And you asked about, if I enjoy the work. One of the things that I love about the work, it's the people that I meet. My colleagues are amazing people. I went to a conference, Monarch Housing had a conference for the, providers across the state. And there was a keynote speaker, a pastor, you know how pastors are. Again, oh my God, I was so fired up after this conference, and the whole idea of housing is a human right. We really need to stay together as brothers and sisters and face up to where we are and how to make change. So, I think it's those voices that are really important.
And you recall too, everyone in here, New York and their council set them on the head to the hotels. And once they were here, that was it, and then they tapped right into our services instead of new. Which put heavy work. Well,
We're just
but it took it off of them.
Post-COVID, and plus, the whole immigration problem. Anthony's working in a church that has a huge feeding ministry in Brooklyn, and we have some huge issues.
Yes.
There's a lot going on.
And only California too. Yes.
My daughter lives in California, and it is shocking to go out there. I mean, tents on the side of the freeway, with families living on the side of the freeway. It's crazy. When I first went down to Florida, when I spoke to groups down there, I would say, oh, I'm from New Jersey. They have a really terrible homeless problem, right? Homelessness is really bad in New Jersey. I mean, after all, we've got Trenton and Camden and Newark and all those places, right? And they're all like, New Jersey's a bad place, right? And I said, well, do you know when I left the state of New Jersey, there were 12,000 homeless people in the entire state. And in the Tri-County area of Florida, they had 12,000 homeless children in the public schools. It's huge, huge amount of homelessness. So yes, we have a problem in New Jersey, but compared to Florida, California, New York, it pales.
And a high percentage for the mental illness.
Well,
I'm also wondering though, here in, it was very nice to see Walter G buildings. I think those are the Walter G buildings in the video. All the architecture
no, one
looks
was
very
an
similar,
extended
but
stay hotel.
there was one where there were a family that it focused on.
Oh yeah, that
walking
was Walter
towards.
G. You're right.
Yeah. But at the same time, Orange, in terms of the housing that's coming into the city, is definitely moving in the opposite direction of what it needs to be. We read a survey a while ago, but I think Rutgers put out a survey that said there's a need for 2,500 affordable units in Orange. Our administration is building 2,500 market rate. $2,000 plus a month luxury
They're
apartment.
not including a percentage of affordable, isn't that
There's
a?
no guarantee. Orange has met its quota of affordable housing, so none of the new construction mandates any affordable housing.
That's one great thing about Montclair. You can't build in Montclair without having at least 20% set aside.
But I guess a question, kind of building on Mindy's regarding the faith thing, and you brought up this question of triage earlier. You know, the prognosis for affordable housing in New Jersey is not positive.
No, it's
so like for you or for your staff or the folks that are working on this issue, like does despair play a role? How do you handle that? What, like, you know, as you know, in Orange we're seeing displacement and people having to move out of Orange because it's unaffordable, picking up very rapidly since 2020. I'm just wondering, in the organizing work you're doing here, Molly's very good at talking me off a ledge.
right.
So I'm just curious, working on such a momentous issue and problem where I appreciate for example, the surface model and how it's trying to look at it a little bit differently. But yeah, I'm just curious if there's what the spiritual conversation around.
Well, let me give you an example of a woman that I know from Central Florida. Her name is Kim Fogel. And Kim Fogel, retired. She had a 401k, but her husband had a 401k. They were pretty well off. And she was sitting in church. She was a Methodist. And the pastor called them all to really think about their particular calling. What is God calling you to do in the world? And he really pressed them on it. And Kim went home and was taking it very seriously. And she prayed about it. She talked to her husband about it. And she decided, you know what? I'm going to use my 401k to try and make a difference. So she went out and she met with me. She met with all the homeless providers. She met with the mayors of the different counties down there. She talked to church people. And everybody said, what we need is affordable housing. So she said, well, I guess I'm going to do affordable housing. So she took her 401k, this is a private citizen, bought a series of units. She bought 10 units in Apopka. And then she's trying to figure out, okay, well, I have enough money to buy it, but I don't have enough money to fix it up. And I don't know, I want to partner with you, Family Promise. But so we told her, well, you're going to have to incorporate as a 501c3 in order to apply for funding. So she figured out how to apply for 501c3. She did all this thing, and you can, I would have to try and find her. There's a thing about her on YouTube, but it's just a private, it's going to take nonprofits, private citizens. It's like we all have to be a part of affordable housing. Because you can't make money in affordable housing. That's the problem. Affordable housing developers are sucking wind, to tell you the truth. It's hard to break even in affordable housing. So, and then I will also say that the guy who was head of housing and community development in Central Florida said it's not really affordable housing. It's not low-income apartments that's really the problem. The problem is the missing middle. We're missing the units that, a retired couple used to be able to go into, or a newly married couple could go into a $250,000 to $300,000 single-family home. That's what we're missing. And because we're missing that, it's putting pressure and higher income people into the rental market. It didn't used to be there. It's like it's the decline of the middle class, right? That's putting pressure on the lower, what normally people housing. did that end? I really think it's gonna take individual nonprofits like Family Promise. We can't do it alone. We're not affordable housing developers. But could we take on like that one building that we had here in Orange had 4 apartments at one point? And I think we have to chip away at it. So yes, there is hope. It can be done, you know, it just requires the political and social will to do it.
Wow. That was powerful.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your Sunday afternoon with me. Thank you for everybody. I don't know who's on Zoom. Thank you.
Marcial joined us. Thanks, Marcial.
Well, we have some refreshments, some cookies, and a little bit of juice. Yeah.
Anybody want to go to Starbucks?
Thank you. Thank you, guys.